I'm Bruce Fummey. Now, clans are no longer part of modern day Scotland, but you can't deny that they're a huge feature of our past. And to the diaspora, who look back to their own branching from the mother tree, they naturally offer a sense of belonging in their new worlds. Of course, clans themselves have very different origins, some from across the seas. Hebridean Norse clans like MacLeods, McSweens and MacIvors. French clans like Mingus, Fraser, Stuart or Gordon, Dalriadan, MacDonalds or Pictish Chattons all add to our mongrel status. But when you talk about the father of clans, there can be only one: Somerled. What's more, it gives me the opportunity to bring you here to Islay and Finlaggan. I'll be honest, when I planned the trip, I had hoped for weather that would show it off in its glory, but this is Scotland. But if you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. I've talked about Somerled and his rise to be King of the Isles in 2 previous videos. Now obviously you don't need to have watched those videos to understand this one, but I will leave a link for them at the end, so that you know what happened at the start. I'll also leave a link in the description to a very readable book called Somerled, Hammer of the Norse by Kathleen McPhee. But it's Somerled's end that I want to talk to you about today. You see, Mary Queen of Scots famously said, "In my end is my beginning." But I think that's even more true of Somerled, Lord of the Isles. The clans, people and progeny throughout the world that resulted from Somerled would be too numerous to count. This is Finlaggan, the home of the Lordship of the Isles. Eilean Mor, the big island that I'm on now, and Eilean na Corla, the island of the council out there. Now, I know that its days of pomp and glory have faded, but in its day, from the time of Somerled until James IV, this was a place of power and influence. Now, my background was as a teacher of physics, of real things and hard facts. So you know, when people talk about spirits and ghosts and all that kind of bollocks, I have to sigh in disbelief. You know, when you get those telly programmes and some drama queen of a presenter says, "I don't know what it is, but there's just something about this place, a feeling that you just don't get anywhere else." It proper sets my BS meter flashing red, and it fair gives me the boke. But you know what? I don't know what it is, but there's just something about this place, a feeling that you don't get anywhere else, even when it's dreich. Maybe especially when it's dreich. Somerled, King of the Isles, established a stronghold here in 1138. It would later become the seat of the Lordship of the Isles. But before that, in 1160, Somerled was fully master of his island kingdom. His authority stretched from Lewis to the Isle of Man, and it extended into mainland Scotland. King Inge of Norway knew it, Muirturch, the High King of Ireland, knew it, and Malcolm IV, King of Scots, knew it too. Now, most people have never heard of Malcolm IV, Malcolm the Maiden, who left no children. So for a bit of context, Malcolm was the grandson of David I and the elder brother of William the Lion. He just brought the region of Galloway into and under the control of his kingdom, but he'd also suffered an internal rebellion. You see, Malcolm had gone off to serve in Henry III of England's army, making him look like a lackey of the English king. Then he'd been pressed by Henry to give up all the lands in Cumbria and Northumbria that his granddad, David I, had gained. It's because of this guy that all those poor souls between the Humber and the Tweed are condemned to be English. Now, Somerled had been Malcolm's ally, but I don't know if he thought that Malcolm's behaviour was an affront to Scotland. Somerled was a Gael after all. Maybe he was more worried that Henry would come further north and his own island kingdom would be threatened. Even if it's nothing so dramatic, the creeping Normanisation of previously Gaelic lands had maybe just gone on too long. Maybe he saw what Malcolm had done to Galloway and was getting his retaliation in first. Or maybe he saw Malcolm as being weak, giving Somerled the opportunity to expand his own influence. Whether it was defensive, aggressive, or the liberating Gael fighting Norman incursion, in 1164 Somerled sailed up the Clyde with a fleet of 164 ships full of hardened warriors who'd helped him rid the islands of Norse control. What an incredible sight that must have been. But their confidence was misplaced, and they returned home shortly after, following a disastrous battle, roughly where Glasgow Airport sits today. At the age of 64, Somerled, the King of the Isles, was dead. Some say in battle, others say betrayed and assassinated by his sister's son. But in his end was his beginning. You see, the island kingdom that Somerled had carved out was divided amongst his three sons, Dougal, Ranald and Angus. Dougal got most of mainland Argyll, Mull, Tiree and Coll, and from him come the MacDougals. Ranald got Kintyre and these more southerly islands of Islay and He had two sons. The first one, Rory, gives us the MacRories. And the second son, Donald, gives us Clan Donald, the biggest clan of them all. So big that it's split into many septs or subgroups. There are loads of them. Now, if you want to get deep into the detail, then I recommend a guy called Clint Edwards who does Scottish Clans podcasts. Really knowledgeable, lovely guy, great content, and you'll get Scottish Clans podcast on one of the many podcast platforms. Check him out. The point is that Clan Donald was a huge beast with spreading tentacles. One of Donald's sons was Alistair, who gave us McAllisters. Of course, the descendants of Clan Donald created even more variety than that, because another descendant, Gregory, gave us Gorries. Several descendants called Ranald gave us various Clan Ranalds, McKeons, McSorleys, and Uncle Tom McCobleys. They're now spread all over the new world, and you regularly thirst for more detail and seek out your name to discover which eponymous father figure you belong to, and God bless you. Hopefully I'll be able to hook up with Clint from Scottish Clans podcast to bring you more information, but I'll never truly understand you. Now don't take me wrong, because here's the thing. You can go on your clan gathering and say I'm a McAllister or a MacDonald or a MacDougall as if you're some kind of separate entity, as if you belong to some special differentiated group. But they're all children of Somerled. Now, I'm not here to piss in your chips. Or is it French fries? Be a MacDougall, be a MacDonald, be a McCrory. I'm just saying they were family. They were brothers. And what about Somerled's third son, Angus? Well, Angus himself had three sons, but all of them were killed in battle with their dad. So the line of Angus died out. Or did it? You see, Angus also had a daughter, some would say granddaughter, Jane, and she married Alexander, the son of the High Steward of Scotland. Now, the role of High Steward had become a family title. His son and her son was Walter the Stewart. He married Marjorie Bruce, daughter of Robert, and their son was Robert II, the first Stuart King of Scots. So when you say you're part of some Clan Stuart, remember that Walter the Stewart was a child of Somerled on his mama's side. I've lost count of the number of people that have told me that they're descended from some Stuart royal or other, but that probably means that ultimately you come from Somerled, the father of clans. What's more, I've searched the genealogical records and I've found that his dad was Gillibridge, but his grandfather was Jock Tamson, the great granddaddy of clans. Now, I'm not saying don't celebrate your clan. I'm just saying I'm happy to be Scottish. If you want to see more people watch this video, then please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos about Somerled, then there's a link coming up on screen now. I mean, doch is going to be lamb alive. Cheery and drast.